The children are like very restless.
Oh no. They're like, come on, mom, what's going on? Get it together. We want to play.
Yeah, they want attention. Well, Mercy went downstairs. She's a strong, independent doggo. Um, but the other two are flanking me.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to TBR Lowdown.
Hello, welcome back. You can probably kiss
Yeah.
me a snoot.
What was I getting ready to do? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. Had to get my books together.
Mm.
I don't have physical books for these that I'm going to mention. Anyway,
Oh.
hello.
Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back. Well,
Oh.
you have rain, and I didn't have rain when I first logged on. It was very, very sunny and bright
Mhm.
and warm, and now it is gloomy and pouring down, raining. So there's that. So I guess I won't be sitting outside today to read later, like I had planned to do.
The rain has stopped for now up here, but it's just windy and gross looking.
I'm disappointed. I was going to go back home and I was going to read a little bit, and then I was going to practice my watercolor painting on the balcony.
Oh, well, maybe I'll clear up.
Maybe we'll see. It's not looking too good. Anyway,
What have you been reading?
all right. I am back to reading
I'm
more
scared when you
books
do that.
by Alexandra House, the romance
Mhm.
writer.
Mhm.
Um, so it's hard for me to listen to audiobooks just like straight on. But at work, I can listen to romance ones because it's easy, right? I don't have to really pay attention per se. So, and Alexandra House writes a good romance, and
Are
this
people
means
going to
something.
Pound Town while you're working? Is that what's happening?
Oh, they are. They're
Oh,
definitely
okay.
going to Pound Town. Yeah.
Okay.
And look, it matters that I like these because I'm not your romance girly. All
No,
right.
she's not.
So the fact that I'm finding this so enjoyable really says something. But I
Oh.
am really in the Alexandra House rabbit hole. All right. So this week I read this trilogy of hers called Them Boys. There are three novellas. All right. The first one is called Set. The second one is called Ja. The third one is called Shoe. These are brothers. Okay. They're brothers. Now, these brothers grew up in a home where their father was absolutely abusive to them. He wanted to raise men, and so he would do things like wake them up in the middle of the night and punch them. He would make them fight each other. And it was just a very, very violent upbringing. Although the dad was never, ever, ever violent to their mother. He thought she was the sweetest woman in the world, and he treated her like a queen. But she did not allow the mother to hug them or to give them kisses or to talk sweet and nurturing to them because he said he is trying to raise men, not no suckers. All right. So this is what these men of their adult lives are dealing with, right? How to love, how to love freely and openly, how to accept someone else loving them. So in each of these novellas, we see these brothers, meet a woman and learn how to accept love and to show love without feeling insecure about it or feeling like it's wrong. And it was really beautifully done, and I really enjoyed it. And it was also very sexy. So I had a really good time with all three of these novellas, and I'm going to continue to read Alexandra House because she does it for me. She does it
Excellent.
for me. I think I've read I I I think I've read like 12 of her books, maybe
That's a
15.
lot.
Because she has a lot of series, right? And it's usually siblings, I notice. Like I read her McLean Brothers series, and then I read her Strickland Sisters series, and then I just read this one with these brothers. So she's got a lot. She has a very, very deep catalog. So I'm gonna be in the Alexandra House world for a minute. But they're cool to listen to at work. Very entertaining.
I listen to nonfiction at work.
But
I
how do you do that when you want to like write things down and like no? So how do you see? That's what I
It's not
can't do.
every I can't do everyone. I have to like try it. Certain ones are just like really narrative and
Oh,
I can listen to them like a podcast, and then some of them
okay,
are a lot
right,
more like
okay,
meaty and academic, and I can't do
right,
those.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I should probably clarify that. All right. So I have been spending my evenings reading Virginia Woolf's diary. So this is a paperback copy of the one that we got while we were together.
yeah,
So this is the curated a writer's diary that her husband put together, and it's mostly her writings around her writing
mm-hmm.
from her journal and nothing else. I'm currently in 1937, and I have been thoroughly enjoying this. I picked myself up this copy so that I had a copy I could read from and mark up, and I know that she is sometimes described as like not a very likable person because she is a bit snobbish, but I'm
Okay,
really and she does have this like anti-Semitism to her as well, but I think it's a little bit more complex than just like she makes anti-Semitic comments because I mean her husband's Jewish. She teases him a bit about it, but she's also like very against the Nazis. But there's other people from this time period
right,
who are dropping the same sort of language, but it has a lot more like hate behind it. And I'm not trying to like be too, I don't know. I'm not saying one is fine and the other one isn't. I'm just saying I think there's more complexity around it. I think there's a lot of like the time period and how like commonplace certain things were and language and just whatever. So there's more to it than just like she sometimes teases her husband about being Jewish. I think there's a lot more
right,
involved in it. But anyway, outside of that, she is really endearing in this in a way because you get to see how insecure she can be about her own writing, and when you know
oh,
how like important she is to like the literary canon.
yeah,
It's just so interesting to see how much self-doubt she has. It's also really interesting to see her relationship with Leonard because I mean, basically she's always like, oh, Leonard has to read it. I need to know what Leonard says. I'm so nervous. And Leonard literally loves everything this woman does. Like he supports everything she does. Like he just sounds lovely. Like
wow,
everything I read about this man, you're like, this man is he's just a supportive, nice husband. And I don't know if he also had affairs. They had a very interesting relationship. It wasn't like some highly romantic relationship, but it was definitely
mm-hmm.
filled with a lot of mutual respect and admiration. And it's that not a really important thing for you to have in a lifelong partner. So I'm
Yeah,
just really enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching her work through her novels. And then react to the response to those novels. It's just really I was a little hesitant on this because
yeah,
it is curated down into like a very specific thing. So there's pieces of the puzzle missing, but I
yeah,
really like this focused edited diary because you really get to look at her thinking about her writing in this really condensed and focused form.
wow.
So I'm enjoying this thoroughly.
It's interesting to hear that she struggled with insecurities with her writing.
I mean, everything she was like, so like she she read a lot too. So like when she read Proust, she was basically like, well, what's the point of me ever writing again? Because this is perfection and I will
Mm,
never be able to. So she's constantly like comparing herself. She's constantly comparing herself with like Catherine Mansfield and other contemporaries of the time. And um, it's just interesting to see her thinking about other books, how thinking about other books makes her think about her own books, how she worries about her own writing. Um, and I think some of it's also because she knows she's experimenting, like she knows that she
yes,
is trying to push a boundary and she doesn't know if it is going to land or if it's going to work
ah,
because she's almost because she's taking almost new directions, but
mm-hmm.
also maybe not because I think like Joyce, she she and Joyce kind of do similar things in some ways, but not really. So like there's just like a whole lot of play, I guess, that's going on in this space. And so
Right.
there's uncertainty that comes along with playing with new forms. So yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. I love that you love Virginia Woolf.
I do. I just find her I think she's very interesting, and I really like learning more about the authors that I'm reading, and that is
Yes.
something that I've been doing more and more in the last few years.
Yeah.
So it's really adding a layer of complexity to my understanding of their works, and I really appreciate it. And this is like the first really like diary that I'm reading. So I don't think I've ever really read diaries. I think I always thought that that would be like boring in some way, or
Right.
weird, or just not engaging. But I mean, it is engaging. I don't think if anybody read my diaries, it'd be very engaging. But her diaries are very engaging. They're interesting. So yeah, it's also just to harken back to some things we've already spoken about in other episodes, like the analogness of it, like looking at a time without all this noise in our lives. Like this, I know that she also had like, you know, independent income, all that other stuff on top of it. It's not like she had to go to a 9 to 5 and then do all this stuff, but the amount of time.
Yep.
Like we've lost so much time to our phones. It's disheartening, but that is not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really disheartening. And I really see it when I'm reading like stuff like this. Like that is such a personal level. Like you can see how like she feels a day, and it's like, oh my God, that's like so many hours a day. And I have like 4. And then I'll waste an hour of it on TikTok.
Right. Right.
So
right. Yeah.
It's just a little side there.
Oh. Okay.
Anyway.
Alrighty then.
So we're here today to talk about our first ever play on the podcast. Not the first play we've ever read as people, but Naomi had this idea of us reading plays and talking about them on the podcast. So she sent me this copy of Fences by August Wilson. So we read this and we're going to talk about it. I didn't get a chance to watch either the movie or find any of the productions of it, and I kind of wish I had time to do that, to see it, you know, in motion, as it were. But it was a really interesting experience. It's been a while since I've read a play, and this was really good.
Yeah, I did watch the play on YouTube, and Larry and I saw the movie Fences like the opening weekend that it came out, and we had like a 2-hour talk about that movie, because it was just so phenomenal, and you know, reading it was also phenomenal. Just really loved it. So Fences by August Wilson really centers around Troy, who used to play in the Negro League for baseball. And now he is a trash collector. And he's married to a woman named Rose. And they have 2 sons, Corey, and I forget the other brother's name. But anyway, so this play like really digs deep into like Troy struggles with like racism and his family responsibilities and a lot of personal regrets, which really caused him to have a lot of conflict with his younger son, Corey. And so, you know, when you read Fences, like you realize like how deeply flawed Troy is.
Oh, he's so flawed.
So flawed. And you know, it's like a portrait of someone who is like grappling with his past and also like not able to like fully grasp the changing world around him, which his son is fully able to grasp. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought like this whole impact on a family was just so well done by August Wilson. I mean, it really blew me away.
I thought Troy was very interesting because he isn't like a villain and he isn't like a
No.
hero. He's just a person, and he's just a regular person with like regular person sort of reactions to the world
Yeah.
because he's bitter. He's so bitter and he
So
has
bitter.
the right to be bitter. Like it makes sense that he's bitter. But what's really deeply sad, or what I found very deeply sad about him, is that he's allowing that bitterness to really ruin his life. Like it's like a cancer that eats away at him. So yes,
Yeah.
it's absolutely justified for you to be so upset. Um, but also, you know, he's blind to some of the nuances of things. Like,
Hmm.
doesn't Rose say that yes, he played baseball, but I don't know why he's so upset with Jackie Robinson because he was like 47 years old or something when he was
Right.
playing. So he
Right.
wasn't going to be like he wasn't he
You weren't
wasn't
going to
going to
make
be
it in the
going
big
amazing.
leagues.
You weren't going to make it to the big leagues. You weren't like
Right.
20, right? So
Exactly.
so there's like a lot of context around stuff, but also like wasn't he in jail for a period of time and like he had
Years.
this really rough life and he so a
Yeah.
lot of his life was like on hold and then he comes out and the world is like a wholly different place, but he's still carrying a lot of the
Yeah.
anger and other things with him. But meanwhile his son is just, or Corey at least is, um he's also playing baseball and he's doing really well with it, and there's a jealousy there. There's
Yes. Oh, yes.
sabotaging that's going on as well,
Hmm.
around the job and everything, because Corey is supposed to also be holding down this job, but he can't really do this job and do baseball at the same time. And baseball is going to be the thing that could get him into college, and getting him into college is going to help him with,
Was it
everything
baseball
else.
or football?
And he was playing baseball.
Okay.
Wasn't he playing baseball?
I thought it was football.
I thought he also played baseball.
It's yeah, he was going to get a scholarship for football, I think. Yeah.
Oh, maybe they just said ball too many times, and I
Right.
I just decided it's all the same sports ball. I don't care
Yeah.
about sports ball. Either way, whatever
Yes.
sports ball Corey was playing,
Yeah.
he was really good at it, and Troy's just so annoyed that he won't hold down his job. Like he's so focused on his job that he ends up really undermining everything to the point where like
Hmm.
Corey, he ruins his relationship with his son. Um,
Yeah.
Corey doesn't get his scholarship. Um, it's he destroys the things that he loves because he's so bitter
Yeah.
about things.
Sometimes, um, sometimes parents who didn't get a chance to do what they want to do in their lives are so bitter when their children have the opportunity to do better than they did. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like they can't stand for it. They can't stand
Yeah,
for it to happen.
yeah.
And so at every turn, Troy put up a fence, right?
Yes,
That
the
that Corey
fences are
could not,
really.
yeah, that Corey just could not get out of or around.
Yeah,
And he did sabotage him.
yeah.
He missed that opportunity. Rose is all for it. Oh, Troy, go and let the boy, talk to the recruiter. Go and let the boy play the football. Like she really was trying, but like Troy, the man of the house, was like, absolutely not. That boy's gonna work at that AMP and he's gonna get that check and he's gonna keep himself a good job. Because that's what men do.
Because well, yeah, and also it's like like you said about not understanding how the world changes. Those opportunities didn't exist for Troy
Right.
because one, Troy was too old to even have captured them if they did exist in the world, and they also just didn't exist in
Exactly.
the world. So he doesn't have an awareness of that. And then what he does know is that if he works hard, he can have a job, he can have a home, he can have his, he knows that if he keeps a job, he can have a decent life. So like that's what he knows and that's what he's safe in. And
Hmm.
it's this whole fences thing. So you have the fences that protect and the fences that keep out. And he's constantly like in this protection and keeping out, protection and keeping out. And all he ends up doing is really isolating himself from his
Hmm.
own family. And he makes horrible decisions. I mean, I wanted to punch him when
Seriously.
when we find out all the running around he's doing with Rose, on Rose. And I mean, Rose is, I mean, God bless Rose, because she, I don't know why she puts up with this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, she's so endearing.
She's
So
wonderful.
endearing.
And you know who I loved? I loved the
Who?
brother,
The older one or the younger one? The jazz
Gabriel.
the musician. Oh, Gabriel. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the brothers.
No,
Got
I
it.
love
Oh,
Gabriel.
and that's right. So, oh, can I stay on the squashing of opportunities right fast? Because I want to
Yes.
read something and then I want to say something. So this is when Corey was telling him that his Coach Zellman, said that a recruiter was going to be coming down from North Carolina to talk with Corey's family, Troy and Rose. And so Troy is basically like, no. And Troy says, I don't care where he coming from. The white man ain't going to let you get nowhere with that football now, no way. You're going to get your book learning so you can work yourself up in the A&P or learn how to fix cars or build houses or something. Get you a trade. That way you have something can't nobody take away from you. You're going to learn and how to put your hands to some good use besides hauling some people's garbage. And so it's so evident there that Troy doesn't even understand that that opportunities from college Troy can like take advantage of. He's missing that whole point, and that's part of that, like not understanding how things are working now. But Corey certainly does understand that if he goes to college, this is going to give him the opportunity to have a better life, and no one can take his college degree away from him. And
No.
so that constant battle of, just getting a job and working your way up and, earning that paycheck versus getting a college degree and having more opportunities to grow and to build a more solid financial future is what's totally missed in these conversations with Troy. And it
But
was
also,
also heartbreaking.
there is, you can see how Troy does want to protect Corey, because
Yes.
he saying, I want you to learn a trade
Yeah.
and do something with your hands, do something that they can't take away with you. If it take away from you, that is him wanting to set him up for success in the way that he knows how to do it,
Right.
because he loves him and he wants to protect him. And
Right.
it's his own like ignorance of the world around him now,
Yeah.
that keeps him from understanding Corey's pushback. And he just
Yeah.
sees it as like insolence, essentially. And like, you're not
Exactly.
listening to your father, which I
Right.
think is like a really common thing between all generations,
Oh, for
where
sure.
like, you don't understand what, I mean, I have this thing with like my parents now, trying to explain to them why, like, when you could buy a house for, I don't know, $20,000, it
Right.
didn't matter that your interest rate was 14%, because you were making significantly more money
Yeah.
than your mortgage. And now it doesn't matter that the mortgage rate is 4%, because the house is like $500,000. So it's
Exactly.
a whole different,
Exactly.
it's like the world has changed, and it's trying to get the older generation's perspective to come in line with the new generation. And it's almost an impossible task.
Yeah.
I mean, Rose is very open to everything, and
Mm-hmm.
Rose can see everything, and she's
Mm-hmm.
trying to maintain this family, and bless her for it. But
Yeah.
Troy is just he's got his little fences, and he
It's hard.
can't see beyond them.
Rose
And
has so much to manage with Troy, just alone with Troy, has so much to manage
with
with his
Troy
anger and his bitterness and his stubbornness. It's a lot on that woman.
I mean, even when, so he's like, he's bitter about just being the garbage man, right? Just picking up and flinging the garbage. And so he goes and he talks to the union, and he gets himself a driving job. So he's the
Right.
first black man to drive the garbage truck, even though he doesn't have a license, which
Now,
I think is
doesn't have a
hilarious, because
driver's
he's like, it's
license.
hilarious. They're like, his friends like, don't you not have a driver's license? And he's like, no, it's fine, I'll figure it out.
He's
And
like,
I
they don't
guess
need
he
to know how
does.
to have a license.
I guess he does, because he's driving the truck
Yeah.
around, but now he's driving the truck around, and he's like, it's lonely.
Right. Right.
So he feels like somebody who doesn't know how to be satisfied,
Yeah. Yeah.
and is kind of always maybe expecting something bad, so looking for something bad.
Yeah.
But I guess, that is created by experiencing a lot of bad things
Yeah, for sure.
early on.
And yeah, he really had that dream of playing baseball, and he just really, I think he just can't get over it that it didn't happen.
But it didn't not happen because Jackie Robinson. It didn't
Right.
happen because you were older. It didn't happen because you were in jail. Like,
Right.
he doesn't direct his anger in the right directions.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Because he's
anger.
not ready to be truthful about it. That's
Yeah.
why he doesn't want to be honest about the facts around why he didn't get into the big leagues. Sometimes people find it easier just to complain about something versus like facing it head on or just being honest about what the situation really is. And I think that was Troy in a nutshell. I like Gabe too, his brother.
His brother is so. I wanted to hug him.
Yeah.
Like, every time he shows up on the page, I just want to hug him.
Yeah.
But like, he went off to war, and
Mm-hmm.
he came back broken.
Yep.
And Troy, I think there's also a lot of guilt around that because Troy didn't even get to go to war.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fine, but like, what is he doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And there was some talk about, because Rose thinks that Gabe should really be like in a institution, basically, to be taken care of and looked after. But since Troy was locked up, he's like, well, why do we want to lock him up? Keep him behind those gates. So like, he's very adamant about letting his brother Gabe remain free and not be institutionalized to be cared after. But yeah, Gabe was just carrying around that horn, just so sweet. Just so
But I mean,
sweet.
he's gonna get himself into trouble, and he does, because because of his disabilities from the war, he doesn't have the ability to like comprehend what he's doing.
Exactly.
And he doesn't have any supervision. It's not like Troy's like, I don't want him to be institutionalized. He's going to live in my basement and we're going to watch him.
Right.
Right.
He was living with them, but then he moved out to live in one of the units in Miss Pearl's house or something.
Some old lady's house. And, and it's lovely to see Gabe have like freedom and how he just comes into the house and everybody's very loving and caring to him.
It's dangerous though.
But he also needs, like, he does, like, Rose is right. He needs supervision.
Yeah.
And if the family is incapable of doing that for a myriad of reasons, somebody needs to. And I understand the fear around institutionalizing somebody. I mean, it's scary today. I can only imagine how scary it would be in like 1957 to institutionalize somebody. And then to institutionalize a Black man must be like terrifying. A whole nother layer of terrifying.
Yeah.
But it seems like, because he does end up having to be put in a place, he seems fine.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was a solution. So it's interesting to see how many of Troy's fears were unfounded, or worries were unfounded.
Exactly. Yep. So, are you ready to get to the super disappointing part when we find out what Troy has gone out there and done with this lady?
Sure, go for it. Do you want to tell everybody Troy's?
Yeah, so we know really from the beginning of the book, as he's having these conversations with his coworker and friend Bono,
or whatever.
Yeah, that he's been messing around with this little young thing, and he likes to say that he's tried to leave her alone, but basically she just won't let him, and so what happens? He knocks her up, gets her pregnant.
Of course he does.
And he has to tell Rose. He has to tell Rose what he's done, and though that scene was just now in the movie theater, like, I was bawling. Like, in the movie theater, like, there were tears just like running down my face, because Viola Davis plays Rose in the movie, and she's phenomenal at everything she does, but that scene broke me. Broke me. Even as I was reading it, I was actually visualizing the movie. I was visualizing Viola Davis in that scene. And I got teary-eyed again because it was devastating. You know, she built her
It
whole
is
life
devastating.
around this man. And it's like,
And
after all these years, you do this?
he will happily burn it down.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, he
But
went with the old age, excuse of basically he could be more free and more open with this other woman.
oh
There are
God,
no
that made me
pressures.
so mad. I
Didn't
just
that just
dropped
make
the
you want
mic
to
for
just
that.
like,
It made me want to punch him in the face. Like, shut up. I
yeah,
don't, I, that is probably one of the most infuriating responses
yes,
to why I cheated on you.
yep,
That like is so insanely common. And it's
yeah,
like, maybe I used to say it's like when I worked in finance, there were some of the, there was a lot of cheating going on with a lot of the partners and stuff. And um the amount of people that were like annoyed by their own wives. And I'm like, well, have you gone home?
right,
You tried, I don't know, talking to her? Like, I, I think, the relationship's sour. But like when you got a good relationship and you're messing around and you come back with that kind of bullshit of a response, I'm like, that's a you thing. Like, why didn't you, like, Rose is sitting here doing everything. Did you ever stop and think, like, what if I just talk to Rose?
that's it. Have a simple conversation with your wife about how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Instead of talking to somebody else being like they get me, well, maybe Rose will get you too, and maybe
Yeah,
Rose gets you too much, and that's the problem, and that she's
yeah,
not going to like let you get away with anything and be like, oh
yeah,
yeah, screw them. No, Rose is going to tell you it ain't Jackie Robinson. You were
right,
47 years old.
yeah. I mean, it's a heartbreaking, infuriating scene because you know, she's basically asking him, like, like, why? And he's saying to her, like, I can sit up in her house and laugh, I can laugh out loud. It feels good, you know?
That's such a
And
painful
then,
thing to
because
say to your partner.
she wants to know, like, are you going to stop seeing her? And he goes down runs in all these reasons, like, why it's so nice to be with that other woman. And he tells Rose, I can't give that up.
Like Rose is some horrible banshee woman that just like ruins it. No, she's literally running your entire life. She's making sure your brother, to the best of her ability, is fine. She's feeding everybody. She's clothing everybody. She's dealing with your
Right.
bullshit. She's doing all this stuff day in and day out. And I'm sorry if she's also not your like stand-up comedian. Like, oh, I hate men because
This is some of the best dialogue between a husband and a wife that I've ever read. And so as they're carrying on with this conversation, he says, Rose, you're not listening to me. I'm trying the best I can to explain it to you. It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years. And Rose says, I've been standing right with you. I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot with you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I
Mhm.
had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? Don't you think it ever crossed my mind to want to know other men that I wanted to lay up with somewhere and forget about my? And she goes on and on because it's like the audacity to think that only you in this life and in this relationship had dreams. It's to think that only you had all these aspirations to do other things and to go somewhere and to be somebody. It's just so selfish,
Mhm.
and that's what really hurts. To think that what you think that I didn't have any dreams too for myself. You didn't see me standing here right here with you. We're literally in the same spot.
Mhm.
It was infuriating, but that is some of the best dialogue between a husband and a wife.
It's a really, I mean, that's when he drops that bombshell of the baby. It's just,
Yeah,
the the emotions in this get kicked into high gear, and it's so infuriating.
it
And she's like,
is.
I'm not taking care of this kid. This is not
Right.
my kid. What does she end up doing?
Taking care. Because Rose is is a woman of heart.
Mm-hmm.
She's a woman of heart. And, unfortunately, that woman that Troy was seeing that he got pregnant, she died giving birth to that baby.
Yeah.
So now, now you just got this baby by yourself. Now you need Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need Rose. And
Rose, who you just said doesn't let you laugh and doesn't let you do this and doesn't let you do that.
And now Rose is telling you, I'll help you take care of this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she raises that child like her own.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't hold any bitterness towards that child. Truly
Mm-hmm.
loves that. Truly,
she does.
Loves that baby
Loves her.
as her own.
Because it's not the baby's fault.
Exactly. But it takes a strong woman to do that.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal play. It's phenomenal.
It's a really good play. And I'm really glad that you sent this to me. Ooh, I'm smacking my mic. I'm really glad you sent this to me. We have one other one that you sent that we can read as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I do need to watch some version of this just to see it in motion. Because it is some excellent dialogue.
Yeah.
There's some really excellent visuals, just like Gabriel and his horn, like you said, just like him tooting around town. And like in the fight between Corey and Troy,
mm-hmm.
like there's so much that's just so like basic in terms of familial dynamics, and then you layer in the details of the racism and growing up, like being in the South, and it's really rich and a really great play.
It really is.
Yeah,
it really is. If you can, like watch any version of the play, but I really want you to also watch the movie.
Okay.
The movie was so true to the play, not just the play, but also the setting of the play. It was just done so well. But seeing Denzel Washington and Viola Davis play Troy and Rose, outstanding performances. I'm gonna watch that movie again.
I think you should.
Yeah. So anyway, people, read yourself a good play. Plays are great.
Yeah.
I've been trying to read more as each year goes by. I've been really trying to read more plays, and whenever I go to McKay, I try to pick up a play or two. So
yeah, she gave me a whole pile, so we may have more of these to come. So keep your eyes out for more. Oh, it looks like my library has the Denzel Washington, so we are going to request it. And
the movie, because Denzel and Viola also did the play like 20 years ago.
Oh, the movie they don't have.
Okay, fantastic. So I didn't watch Denzel and Viola do the play because I saw them do the movie. I want to see someone else do the play.
I really want to find James Earl Jones doing the play, but I don't know if they're going to have more than clips.
Right. I didn't see a full one, but I didn't do a deep search, but just a general search. And I just saw clips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be really amazing to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, go out and read a play, guys. If you haven't read a play since high school, go read a play.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, book recommendation time?
Book recommendation time.
All right, what you got for us?
All right, we're on theme for my books. I have All the Lives We Ever Lived by Catherine Smythe, which is a memoir about losing her father, but also about how Virginia Woolf, and specifically To the Lighthouse, sort of helps her go through that grief. And I really enjoyed the look at the novel, because there's a lot of really great in-depth like dissection of the novel, but also the way that this memoir captures grief and talks about losing of a parent and the complex emotions that you have with your parents. You can have a really loving relationship with your father, but your father can also have like alcoholism or have like a past, or where maybe he's cheated or maybe he's done something else. So there's all these. One of the common threads between the memoir and To the Lighthouse and just Virginia Woolf in general is this idea of like the internality of people, and how, like, do we ever really know someone? Like, we only know like pieces of people, and into The Lighthouse, Woolf is trying to get into the internal of the characters and try to know them. And a lot of her books, she's trying to know somebody, like really
Right.
know a character. And through losing her father, and in the process of losing her father, she is grappling with the father she knew and the father she's learning through the process of losing him. The secrets that come out, the stories from other people, learning more about the history of her parents and how they get together, and all of that, and learning about the life before she exists. So I thought this was really, really quite wonderful. It was recommended to me by somebody on Substack that talks a lot about Woolf, and was like, and because somebody had recommended it to her, and so I was like, of course I'm going to read it. So I just think it's really, really lovely memoir. I highly recommend it. I don't know if I would read it if you're like actively losing a parent, but I think it is probably really cathartic almost if you have lost a parent. Also, just, for the majority of us, we are going to outlive our parents. So this is not like a rite of passage, but a passage that we go through in our lives. Rite of passage feels like somehow positive. So
right. Exactly.
It's a passage it's something that we're going to go through in our lives. So it's always interesting to look at people dissecting that grief that we're all going to kind of have in common, and how complex it is. And also, like, To the Lighthouse there's many layers to this. Also, To the Lighthouse is Woolf dealing with the grief of losing her mother, and dealing with like her thoughts around her father, who was quite overbearing. And like, so there's a lot of like personal, deep introspective work that's going on in both of these texts, and how they like get woven together is just really interesting. So I enjoyed this. Highly.
Sounds good. Wow.
One day I'm going to get you to read Virginia Woolf.
I've got so many of her books. I've just got to.
And you're going to be like, Alyssa.
I know. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a 2026 project for me. Yeah.
I think that you would enjoy her. I think that so she's got this really interesting like effortlessness, but also you can see the effort, and it's almost like dance, like, how much work goes into being on point, but they're an artist and they make it look like they're walking on air,
Yeah.
So you can see all the little, once you start to see what she's doing with things and the way she's using stuff, it's very, the craftsmanship is interesting, but then the whole package is also like really beautiful and artistic. And
I'm gonna get there.
I'm also obsessed. So I
know, and I love that you are. I feel like the way you feel about Virginia Woolf is how I feel about Elena Ferrante.
Probably.
That's what it feels like to me when you talk about her.
Yeah.
So I never not want to read Elena Ferrante.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. Like, I've read everything that she's written, so now I've got to find what other people have written about her and then read that.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part. All right, I'm here to give you more murder. Okay. This is Home of the Happy, A Murder on the Cajun Prairie by Jordan LaHaye Fontenot.
There's a Cajun Prairie?
Apparently.
Oh, so you learn something every day.
I know, right? Thank you, Mariner, for sending me this gifted copy. All right. So this is it Fontenot or Fontenay? I think it's Fontenot. This is about the Fontenot family. All right. This is the type of family that like created a town, or has like been at the town since its inception. and like they basically run the town. Like they're the teachers in the schoolhouse, they run the general stores, they're the town doctor. Like every like living and breathing part of this town, there's a Fontenot family member like in it. And they're very popular because they're really sweet and they're very kind. They're also very beautiful, so people really look up to them because it's like, oh, all of the people in the Fontenot family are just so beautiful. And they run the bank, so like everything that you touch that has to do with your day-to-day life, there's a Fontenot person at the head of it. So the grandfather of this family is kidnapped, and the kidnappers are asking for a ransom. And so the family is trying to figure out like how they're going to do this and how they're going to get their grandfather back. And they're too late because he is murdered. And so now we're into this like many years long investigation into one who kidnapped that grandfather and who murdered him, because it may or may not be the same person or people. And it's just like this uncovering of this. What is she? His great granddaughter? I think the author is the great granddaughter, if I'm not mistaken. She's like digging back into all the old case files to kind of like see what happened, because it was never resolved. And so she's going through hell trying to get case files. Some of those files are missing. Some of those files were destroyed. She's made some connections to one or two of the detectives that was actually working on the case when it was actually happening. And it's almost like this family had so much tragedy after this grandfather died. After he died, it's like 3 or 4 other family members also died, like horrible deaths. And one of the older family members was saying like, gee, I wonder like if this would have never happened to granddad, would the other family members still, be alive? Because it almost felt like a ripple. Like he was murdered and then like horrible things kept happening to the family. And they were like losing everything, losing their wealth, like losing family members. It was really tragic on so many levels. But this great granddaughter who was doing all this research and like what she's finding and things that were covered up or things that were ignored or evidence that the initial cops on the case didn't see, it was like astounding. Very good read. So highly recommend, if you're into this kind of thing, to check out Home of the Happy, A Murder on the Cajun Prairie by Jordan LaHaye Fontenot.
Wonderful. And we all learned that there's a Cajun Prairie.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't really know a lot about like that area, so
I don't either.
Really. So
I don't either. It's very.
I shouldn't be surprised that I didn't know something.
Very fascinating. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, we just did it. We wrapped it up, so that's good. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in. We so appreciate it. Follow us everywhere at TBR Lowdown. Visit our website, tbrlowdown.com, and recommend this podcast to a handful of friends and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate it. That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. Bye.
Bye.